Hi TC friends. This is part 2 of Bonnie with the Broom Pilates workout, and it's mostly on the mat. So I hope you still got your pole, your golf club, your broom, PVC pipe in your hands, and let's start easily on our backs. Okay? So just leave your pole across your hip creases for a second. As you find neutral, your knees are bent, the heels are lined up with your sit bones, which lay in the middle of your buttocks, and you want to feel very comfortable. Outer edges of your shoulder blades on the mat, wide collarbone. You should feel your pubic bone and your frontal hip points level, so that if you put a piece of board there and then a cup of water in the middle of that board, the cup of water would not spill to your chest nor spill through your legs. All right, so we're going to practice imprinting and releasing here. Let's do one without the broom. So take an inhale, and on the exhale, you want to pull your top ribs together and pull them down, so all the ribs are going down toward the frontal hip points, which are slightly coming up towards the ribs. You're not using your glutes to do that, and you should feel your low back going down toward the mat. You might even feel your low back on the mat. It varies from person to person. And then release, and release the ribs, release the imprint. All right, now let's see if we can add arms to this. So you're just holding your prop, elbows easily bent. The elbows are pointing forward, not out to the side. Now you're going to take an inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to extend your arms, close your ribs, and imprint. And then release your arms and release your low back. Engage your arms and engage the ribs and the abdominals to imprint the spine and bring it back. Now, somebody looking at you might not necessarily pick up the fact that you were imprinting or stabilizing that low back, but you know it, you can feel it. Exhale. And inhale, and then just use your elbows and come all the way up to a sitting position. Still keep your knees bent, still keep the heels lined up with the middle of your sit bones, and try to be as vertical as possible, reaching your arms at about shoulder level forward. We're just going to do some half rollbacks here. So take an inhale, your pelvis will tuck under, the low back will round, the upper back rounds, the shoulders do not lift, and you're going to go down to a space from which you can recover. You should still be very scooped in the belly. Now see if you can increase your flexion a little bit, and then come all the way up, forehead toward knees in a very circular manner. When you feel you're in the middle of your sit bones, stack your back from your pelvis up to your shoulder blades in a nice neutral position. Let's do it again. We're going to tuck under and go down. And sometimes when we're down here, we're kind of flattening out. So before you start moving up, try to increase the flexion without changing your position. Then you can feel the bigger load on the abdominals, and you're going to come forward, forehead to knees, and stack your back. We're going to challenge this now by lifting the arms over the head. Lift them as far as is good for you. You're going to, when you're down there, the upper body will not move, the arms will move. So if you find your body coming up or down as the arms move, just move your arms a little bit to try to stabilize your body. All right, you're going to have your arms right out in front of you and tuck the pelvis under. Go down to a position that it's okay for you. You feel load, but not horrible. Do not move your torso. Move your arms up wherever you can and lower them down. And exhale. And inhale. One more time. Exhale. And inhale. Increase your flexion. And then roll up. And stack your back. Let's try it again. We're going to tuck it under and maybe stay higher this time. Make sure your abdominals are holding you, not your low back. And you're going to go up and down. Lift on the inhale and lower on the exhale. Lift on the inhale, hold it here, increase your flexion, and then the arms stay by the ears. As you come up, forehead toward knees, you're sitting in the middle of your sit bones. Keep your arms at shoulder level as your back comes up, as if it's coming up against a wall. Okay, let's add a twist to this. We're going to go down. You don't have to go down very low. Take a moment here, increase your flexion, bring your arms above your head, and then you're going to twist. Now make sure your knees are not doing something strange when you twist. Something strange would mean they're falling out to the side, they're knocking together. One is going forward, one is going back. Who knows? Come back, roll forward. You can catch the pole of the broom right in front of your kneecaps and use that to lengthen up. Let's try that one again, starting on the other side. So I'm going to roll down, exhale. Increase your flexion. Bring your arms up next to your ears if you can. Rotate to one side, very stable pelvis. You shouldn't feel a shift of weight from one side to the other as you do this. Minimal movement in the knees. Keep your arms by your ears. Roll yourself up and stack your back. Good. Okay, now in contrast to that, instead of half rolling back with these arm variations, we're going to try to straighten out the legs and sit up nice and tall and lean. So a half roll back has you going back into flexion. A lean has you going back straight, except I used arms there. You're not going to use arms. Some people can't go back very far because all of a sudden their low back grabs. That's probably because they're trying to do a back bend. You just try to keep everything neutral. Think about sandwiching your front and your back as you lean. So let's sit up as straight as we can with our arms straight forward at shoulder height. Okay, relax those legs if you can. Sometimes the hip flexors start screaming at you here. And keeping your chest lifted, keeping your navel engaged, you're just going to lean back to maybe halfway to the mat at about 45 degrees. Now reach out through the crown of your head to elongate your spine. Lead with your chest to come up. Good. Let's do it again. Okay, lift up through the crown of your head, get light on your sit bones, and lean back. Okay. And then come back up. Let's make it harder and bring the arms up by your ears and stretch up through the crown of the head and stretch up through the arms. Now lower the arm bones into the shoulder sockets. And you're going to lean back here. Remember, keep reaching the middle of the crown of your head for the pole. Inhale and exhale. Come all the way up. Let's add a lower and lift of the arms. So here we go. Sitting up nice and tall. Reach up with the arms. Even lift your shoulders, but then lower your shoulders. Lean back as far as you feel is good for you. Try not to flex as you simply lower your arms and lift your arms. Do it again. Lower and lift. Reach out through the crown of your head. Keep elongating. Lead with your chest to come all the way up. Great. Drop your arms for a second. We are going to add a twist to this, and then when we add the twist, we're going to shift weight slightly to one hip or the other. Okay? So it's not like you lead by lifting the hip. The hip lifts as you shift. I'll try to cue you through it. Okay, so come all the way up, and you're going to reach your arms above your head. Without leaning at all, you're going to twist. Okay, now you're going to start leaning on a diagonal, and when you get to a certain part, the back sit bone lifts. Now lower the back sit bone, come back to the center. Lean to the other side, and lean, 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 and lift this back hip slightly, and then put it down. Come back to vertical. You're still rotated. Come back to the center. Lower your arms. If your hip flexors are going, whoa, bend the knees a little bit and lean forward. We can try that one more time because it's good practice. Okay, sit up. Reach your arms above your head. Rotate to one side. We're not leaning yet. Now, when you're rotated, you're going to lean out. Try to keep both sides of your waist elongated. Reluctantly release that back hip. Put the back hip down. Come up to vertical in rotation. Come back to the center. Drop your arms. I will do it one time on the other side. Lift up. Lift those shoulders up just to get the length in the side body. Then lower the shoulders. Rotate. Lean on a diagonal. You're kind of going to the back ceiling. And then come back to the center and bring it down. Roll down. Oh, this feels very nice. Okay, you're going to bend. I have my left leg toward you. So I'm going to bend my left leg. Right leg is staying straight. Both arms above my head. And this is a very simple elongation exercise. You're going to lift the toes of the heel of the bent leg. Okay, so you want to heel slide this leg or the bent leg forward as you reach the arms over the head. Now think of length through the leg, length through the ribs, length through the arms, and then just bring it back. Try not to arch the low back. So pull through the tailbone toward your heels as the leg stretches and the arm stretches, and then they're going to come back. And we'll do one more like that. Stretch and come back. Now bring the same moving leg into tabletop. If you need to, you can certainly bend the other leg a little bit. I don't happen to need to. So I'm going to lift my head and shoulders. Again, this is optional. You don't have to. I like to. And then the leg is going to go out low, and the arms are going over your head. And come back in. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. Let's do two more. You're lengthening, and you're coming forward. And lengthening, and come together. Now keep this up, and add a twist. So we're twisting toward the leg that's coming in. And twist. Lengthen. And twist. Lengthen. Twist one more. Lengthen. Twist. Come back. Put the leg down. Okay? Reaching your arms above your chest with the heel of the, this is my right leg, lifted on the floor, the toes lifted. The heel never leaves the mat. You slide it out as the arms go over your head, and you slide it back in. And the whole point of this is to drop your ribs, stabilize that low back, and get length throughout the legs, the arms, and the ribs. I like to exhale as I elongate, and inhale as I pull in. Now the moving leg goes into tabletop. I lift my head and shoulders. The arms go overhead as the leg goes forward and comes back. Exhale and inhale. Exhale. Inhale. We have two more. Exhale. Inhale. Last one. Exhale. Inhale. Add the twist. Exhale. Inhale. Twist. And exhale. Inhale. Twist. Exhale. You should feel your obliques kicking in. Exhale. Inhale. Twist. One more. Exhale. Inhale. Twist. Come back. Bend both of your knees. Take a moment to imprint your spine. Bring one leg up into tabletop. Bring the second leg up into tabletop. Stretch both legs long to the ceiling. Flex your feet. Now some of you are not going to be able to have completely straight legs. It's going to bring your legs a little forward because your hip creases aren't soft enough that they come to a 90 degree. Do what you need to do to modify for you. I'm going to try for a straight leg and very flexed feet reaching my heels up to the ceiling, reaching my arms up. Now the object of this is to lift your upper back and head and try to touch your toes. Most likely you will not touch your toes, but you're trying, okay? So reach through the heels, lengthen those legs, and lift up and go down. See if you can use those upper abdominals right around the sternum. Lift and lower, and lift and lower. Someday I'm going to get those toes. Not today, I think. 2 more. Try not to bend your knees in order to touch your toes. It's just getting you up there that's important. Last one. Exhale. Inhale. Now bend your elbows to the mat and bend your knees into tabletop. All right, we're going to do a variation on a double leg stretch here. So starting in this very bent arm, bent leg position, back imprinted, you're going to reach your arms and legs straight to the ceiling, close to one another. And then you open up arms and legs away from one another without losing your imprint. Bring them back to one another. Bend your knees, bend your elbows. And go up on the exhale, open on the inhale. Together on the exhale, bend on the inhale. Exhale, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, you can add your head and shoulders. You lift up, hold the head and shoulders there as you open and close. Put the head and shoulders down. Lift up, open, and close, and put it down one more time. Up, open, close. Just put the head and shoulders down. Keep your broom or your golf club where it is, and we're going to try to do scissors. The leg that's lowering is trying to go as close to the floor as possible without touching. The leg in the air is trying to touch the broom, and depending upon your flexibility, that might be quite easy or almost impossible. So you're going to lift your head. If you want to, you can keep your head down, and one leg goes toward the broom, and one leg goes toward the floor. Pulse them twice, and switch. And first one, and second one, and first one, and second one, and first one, and second one. One more. First one, and second one. Hold it there. The leg near the floor is actually going to go on the floor. Your head and shoulders go down. The leg in the air stays where it is. The foot of the leg on the floor flexes. So you're pulling forward through the heels. The toes are coming back towards your knee. And then with the arms in the air like this, your upper body isn't very stable, and that challenges single leg circles more. So you're going to cross the body and go out from the body, not rocking or rolling, through the shoulders or the pelvis. Let's do 3 more here. Try to stay stable. Make the circle as big as you can and as small as you need. 2. We've got 1 more. It's 1. Good. And then we're going in the opposite direction. It's 5 and 4 and 3. 2 more. 2. Last one. 1. We wind up in that scissor split. Okay, now we're going to do a scissor switch. So as the leg that's up comes down, the leg that's down comes up. Flex through the foot on the floor, point through the toe in the ceiling. Try to keep your arms stable as you go across the midline and away from it. And across and away. And you can see this hip on me does not want to stay stable at all today. That can vary from day to day, at least for me. Either side. 5 and 4. I'm trying to turn my navel towards that unstable hip to try to stabilize it. You might try that. Try to bring your stomach muscles toward the side which is unstable. Stop. And then bend the leg into tabletop. Put it on the ground next to the other leg. which is also on the ground. Bring your heels closer to your glutes. You can either do a little commando crawl of your body towards the heels, or just pull your heels closer. And have your elbows on the floor. We're going to go into a little hip roll. So make sure your toes are pointing forward, that your knees are right in line with your second toe, that they're not flopping out or knocking together to begin with. Take an inhale, and on the exhale, imprint your spine. Now go beyond the imprint and do a little bit of a tilt so that you feel the pubic bone lifting a little bit, not off the floor, but tipping towards you. And then reluctantly release the tailbone from the mat, and then one vertebra at a time. And the pole is just here, and maybe you can have your frontal hip points hit the pole, maybe. Okay, so now you reach your arms up and bring your arms over your head. They don't touch the floor. They're hovering about 4 inches off the floor. Maybe your hips have started to sag. Lift those hips up. Maybe your knees have started to open. Bring those knees back into line. Now with your arms over your head, you want to start rolling down your back, and it's a roller coaster. It's not a board, so it's really slinky and caterpillar-like. You're especially trying to get through that lumbar spine. The pelvis is still tilted. And now release the pelvis and bring the arms straight up to the ceiling. Let's do another one like that. You're going to go into an imprint and then roll the pelvis a little bit, but you should feel the small of the back on the mat. Press into your heels, use your glutes and your hamstrings, and come up. And when you're up there, you have a straight line from your shoulder to your knee. You drop the arms over your head without touching the floor. And this is simply an elongation exercise. Start rounding through the sternum, which will set up a flexion in the upper back. And just ride that flexion down, one vertebra at a time, as slowly as you can to get the most specific articulation on the way down that you can. Rock forward into neutral and bring your arms up. Okay, so now turn one palm up. Okay, when we're in the air, the reason I'm doing that is because we're going to swivel the pole. So one palm faces forward, one palm faces back, and I do not care which one you do it with. All right, so again, we'll hip roll up. The broom is right across our chest. We want to get into a nice straight line. Right, now you're going to swivel the pole so it's kind of parallel to your spine, and then unswivel it until it's perpendicular to your spine as you lift your heels and lower your heels. So watch it, because it's a hamstring and a glute grabber. Right, so lift those hips to begin with. Now lift your heels and lower your heels. Lift your heels and lower your heels. Swivel the broom, unswivel the broom. Swivel the broom, unswivel the broom. One more time. Swivel, unswivel, drop it over your head at this point. If you want to turn your palm in the other direction, it's fine. And roll all the way down and bring the arms up. If you change your hands, you want to bring them back again so that one palm is up and one palm is down. Okay, we're going to be slightly different this time. We're going to roll up. Get so that you're that straight line from your knee to your shoulder without now any dip in the hip. Then you're going to swivel your hands. Okay, now without rolling, you're going to drop your hips as if you couldn't possibly flex any vertebra in the spine. And as you drop your hips, you're going to open your arms. The broom is in one arm. And bring it back. Drop your hips. The broom is in the other arm. And bring it back. Drop your hips. It's in the first. And bring it back. Drop your hips. It's in the second. And bring it back. Drop your hips. It's in the first. Bring it back. Drop your hips, it's in the second, bring it back, unswivel the broom, drop it over your head, and roll all the way down, lengthening through that spine. Instead of coming to neutral, keep the spine somewhat imprinted. Bring both legs to tabletop. Bring the broom in front of your kneecaps. If that's not comfortable for you, you could always bring the broom under the back of your thighs because we're going to be rolling. I happen to like that little groove in the kneecap, but not everybody does. So you can bring it behind your legs too. All right, you're going to have your head and shoulders lifted. It's fine to drop your heels toward your butt. And we're going to roll up. And then we're going to try to keep this position as we roll back and forth as many times as you want. Let's 5 or 6. And try to keep really tucked up like a little ball without the shoulders going up to the ears, although they do want to go there. Keep your elbows dropped rather than out to the side. And let's try it. We're going to go back to the shoulder blades and up to the sacrum. Back to the shoulder blades and up to the sacrum. Exhale and inhale. 2 more. Exhale and inhale. We have 1 more. Exhale and inhale. And then just to play, okay, lengthen your back a little bit, but of course you do have a little flexion in the pelvis. You're going to lift your ankles, maybe lift your arms, maybe lengthen your legs. And just hold it for 3, 2, 1. Drop your legs. Come forward. I'll move back so you can see. And you're going to reach maybe beyond your toes, if your arms will do that, if your flexibility will do that. If there's no hope for you doing that, just put the pole somewhere near your ankle and stretch forward. One more breath. And then come up. I'm going to get up so that I'm kneeling on one knee with the other leg extended out. And I realized for the first part of this, I couldn't get the camera angle right, so I probably will be headless. That may be a benefit. Okay, so you'll see my body, so that's the most important thing. All right, you have your knees about hip distance apart. You're going to stretch out one leg. I like the toes pointing forward. I like the outer edge of my foot on the ground. You could have it in, but it's, the leg gets sloppy that way. So try to get the outer edge. But if you need to turn it a little bit for comfort, you can do that. All right, you're going to start with the broom in that position in which we did neck stretches. Okay, and we're simply going side to side here. So we're going in one direction. Try to get yourself so that you're kind of a diagonal line from the stretched out heel to the top of your head. And then come back up until you're kind of vertical, and then go over towards the stretched out leg. So you're going over kind of in a diagonal, come up to vertical, over towards the stretched out leg. And side bend right, straight, side bend left. Keep pulling those muscles down on the back, just like we did at the beginning. Now you will notice that if we stretch the arms above the head, I realize you can't see my head, you can't see my arms, but trust me, they are reaching to the ceiling, the shoulders are pulling down. Now when you go over, you're going to be in a much bigger range, and you'll feel it much more through your obliques. Exhale, and inhale. One more. Exhale, and inhale. Come to vertical. Put your broom down, and on the side where the knee is bent, put your hand down on the mat. Bring your other arm up to the ceiling, and as you lift the stretched out leg, you're going to lower the arm till they come together, and then bring it back. And again, 2. Exhale, 3. And 4. Try to keep that head back in line with your upper back. We've got 2 more. 1 more. Put the leg down. Try to ground the outer edge of the foot, and you can have your hand on your hip, the upper hand. You're going to take the bottom leg and lift it until the 2 knees meet. You do not want the bottom knee to be forward of the top knee. You want them to be aligned. And lift. We were doing abductor on the first exercise. Now we're doing adductor. We've got 4 more. It's 4 and 3. We have 2 more. 2. On the last one, hold it and count for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straighten out that bottom leg onto the mat. Turn till you're in a plank. Look forward and lift your chest. And do a little set of jogging. You're going to pull one knee in and the other knee in. One and the other. One and the other. One and the other. It's 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Come back. Drop your knees. And let's do the other side. So kneeling up, the leg stretches. Notice if it's harder for you to be in one position, that is on one side, than on the other. It always is different for me on the 2 sides. Okay, broom or golf club or pole or PVC pipe goes behind your head, on your shoulders, pulling the skin and the muscles of the shoulders down. All right, and we're going over to that diagonal kind of line, and then into the side bend toward the extended leg. Exhale. And inhale, and exhale, and inhale. We have 1 more on either side. Exhale, and inhale. Come back to the center. Use my words rather than what you can see. Arms are coming closer. They're reaching up to the ceiling. Get length through the side body. Keep the length. Lower the shoulders, and go into a much bigger range of motion here. And 2, and 3. We have 2 more. 4. Last one. 5. Come back to the center. Drop your broom. On the side where the knee is bent, you have the hand down on the mat. I don't like it right under my shoulder personally. I like it a little bit further away from me than that. See what's comfortable for your shoulder. And the top arm goes to the ceiling. As you lift the bottom leg, the top arm comes and meets it and goes down. So make sure your toes are pointing forward and not towards the side wall. We've got 4 more. Head again is pulling back to be aligned with your upper back. And we have 1 more. Good. Top hand comes on the hip. Okay, now get ready because you really have to stabilize through the lats and the arm. As you lift the lower bent knee, you're going to bring it to the top knee and lower it. And lift it and lower it. Lift it, lower it. Lift it, lower it. We're going to do 4 more. It's 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stretch the leg back to the other part of the mat. Turn. You should be in a perfect plank now. And we'll do another set of jogging. So you're going to bring one leg in and then the other. 2 and 3. Stretch that heel back. 4. So you're going to stretch through the back of the legs as well as working your shoulders and working your hip flexors and abdominals. What's not to like? 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Drop your knees. I'm going to bring the pole to the other side so it doesn't interfere with your view. Get yourself into a knee plank with your pelvis moving forward but not dropping. Okay, so straight line from your shoulders to your knee. Maybe move your hands back a little bit. Hug your elbows into your ribs and go down in this configuration. Belly does not hit first. You go down. Good. And you're on the mat. All right, you're going to bring your hands. Maybe the heel of the hand or the wrist is under your shoulder. You can have them a little wider if you have wider shoulders like I do. Okay, and you're going to have your feet a little bit apart, but not significantly. It's not as wide as the mat with the toes pointed. Okay, so you're looking at the mat And you have your toes pointed so that all of your toes are touching, including the pinky toe. And the pinky toe touching is important because it will internally spiral the legs. And so the inner thighs are reaching up to the ceiling. Okay, that's important for your alignment of your hips. So lift, pressing into the toes, lift your kneecaps. And then I want you to think about doing a little shoulder roll and bringing the shoulders toward the waist. Press down into your hands and pull back so that the heel of the hand, the wrist, the elbow are all pulling toward your legs. And then you're going to start reaching your chest forward and reach your head off the floor. Make sure that the abdominals are pulled in. And then when you're here, lift both of your legs, if that's okay for you, and start fluttering them. You're just fluttering them in the easy flutter kick down the pool like you're using a kickboard. And just flutter, 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 flutter. Make sure that you're not falling towards the mat with your upper body. And now lift your hands off the mat, just to prove to yourself that your back muscles are doing the work. And then bring your arms out so that you feel like a goalpost. Keep fluttering. Bring the arms down where they were to begin with. Bring your toes down, stop fluttering, and try to keep in that plank position and come up to a knee plank. I want you to go down to the mat again, and as you come down this time, when you're on the mat, you're going to lift both arms and both legs. The legs will lift just as they were before, and the arms will lift in kind of a V. Okay, so remember, you're not collapsing through the back. You're using your arms and going down to the mat. When you're there, arms and legs lift. You come back and you come up into a knee plank. You go down, arms and legs lift, come up into a knee plank. Go down, arms and legs lift, knee plank. Two more. Down, arms and legs lift, knee plank, down, arms and legs lift, knee plank, and then just go down. Take your broom, and you're going to bring it in back of your thighs, palms down, thumbs out. Okay, so pressing into your toes again, lifting your kneecaps. Make sure that you have this little pelvic adjustment so that your tailbone is going towards an imaginary line through your heels, and you feel the pubic bone on the mat and your tummy hollowed out right above the pubic bone. Okay, take an inhale and simply elongate your head away from your toes. And then on the exhale, keeping your toes touching the floor, you're going to lift up and reach the pole back towards your heels. And then lower down. And do it again. Lift. When you come down, your shoulders may want to droop right to the mat, like that. Why don't you encourage them to stay back? Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Now this time, lift, hold it there, and then see if you can get your arms to lift higher and come down. Lift higher. Now add your legs. They lift and they lower. They lift, they don't bend at the knee. You lift from the hip. Lift and lower. Two more. Lift, lower. One more. Lift, lower. Go down on the mat. Put your broom aside. Bend your knees for a second. And just while you're down on the mat, just for a little exercise, press into your toes, lift your kneecaps, and without doing anything else, pull your shoulders down. Your nose is probably touching the mat. I want you to hollow out your stomach and release it. Now, when you hollow out the stomach, can you feel the pelvic tilt? And release it. Before you hollow out your stomach, your pelvis might be neutral. It might be anteriorly tilted. You want to bring it from either neutral or anterior tilt into a posterior tilt, so the action of the pelvis is going that way and that way. Can you see? And that way. We have one more. There. Good. Hold it there for a second. Use your arms Push yourself up. Bring your knees forward. Sit on your heels and round your back. Now, if this is bad for your knees, you can, of course, come up and just do cat stretch. I'm just trying to get us into the low back, releasing our shoulders, dropping our heads, and feeling pretty good. And then sitting on your heels, if that's good for you, you want to just stack your back, one vertebra at a time, and sit yourself up. Good. Let's come to a cross-legged position. If you don't like cross-legged positions, or your knees are way up here, or your hips are saying, ouch, certainly straighten your legs out to the front, and then put your hands on your knees for a second. Lift your chest. Okay, I'm going to put one hand, I have my right, out on the mat. The other hand is over. Now think heavily about the left sit bone, the one on the side where the arm is reaching outward. You're going to bend the arm on the floor and stretch over. Now reach through that top arm, but reach down through that same side that is the opposite side sit bone, so you really get the stretch from the outer hip, up through the ribs, up through the armpit, out the arm through the middle finger, and then come back. Let's do it on the other side. You're going to think about your right sit bone as your right arm extends, left elbow bends, it's on the floor. And you can just go over easily like we usually do now. Sit down into that right sit bone. Reach the right arm over your head. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And come back. We're going to do it one more on either side. Left arm up. Left sit bone really digs into the mat. Now reach through that left arm and get the stretch. And come back. Right sit bone really digs into the mat, right arm up, and stretch over, left elbow bends. It could also slide out if you prefer. And come back up. Put your hands on your knees. Do a couple of shoulder rolls. Bring your hands into a little hoop, fingertips touching. Keep equal on your sit bones. And do a little rotation. One more on either side. Feel your ribs moving. Feel how stable your pelvis is. And come back. Drop your arms. Make a big circle over your head. Bring them down. One more time. Lift up over your head. And just to stretch your back, now that we've stretched your sides, both sit bones are very heavy. Pull your abs in, pull your hip creases back. Reach your arms forward and feel the stretch on the side of your hips. Forehead toward the mat, belly pulling in. Shoulders should relax. They probably want to be crawling up to your ears. Try to keep them relaxed. Lift up to your fingertips and push the hips back and down. And then very gently, you're going to allow those arms to drag back in. Stack your back as if you're coming up against a wall. And that's it for today for our bewitching Pilates workout. See you again next week. Take care. Stay safe.